What's up people? The vlogs are back. In today's video we're playing the A6 Open and we're currently playing the practice round, so follow along as we dial the lines, and then tomorrow the real tournament starts.
Right there, Noah showing us the Heise line on hole 1, and he freaking pures it. And I will show you the turnover. Hole 4 going for the forehand. And I hit the wrong basket. Almost a black ace. Here I'm just going for a roller for fun.
Oh my god. Oh, no.
It's not the play, okay? Did I just show you the same clip twice? Lacing the gap here at hole 6 with my Kastapass Nord. Hole 8 is an island hole in the shape of the Superman logo. Such a cool hole. Hole 14 is such a satisfying line to throw. And here Noah is lacing the gap on the second hardest hole on the course. Perfect shot. This right here has become one of my favorite shots. K3 Reko forehand. Just look at this fairway. So beautiful. Crazy difficult hole though.
Är du trött?
Ja.
Tjena grabbar. Practice round done. Feels good. You got -5? Nice. What did you get?
-11.
I got -22. No, I had -4. Great card tomorrow. Arvid Håkansson and Dennis Augustsson and Andreas. Don't know who that is, so that's exciting. And you too? Great cards?
Yeah, of course.
Let's go! Now it's time to sleep. Bye bye.
The following day.
Sist ut har vi Kevin Klangebo från sådär Kastaplast, Rocket Disc, och representerar Järva Discgolf Club.
Alright, hopping straight into the action here. Hole 1. I'm going for the left gap even though it's a harder line to hit. But I'm choosing it because getting a bogey is not even in play. Thought I made this putt by the way. Just missed it right side though. And starting off with a par. Hole 2 plays really far, 118 meters uphill, probably plays more like 140. But I went with the Elva, tried to turn it over, didn't really get the turn that I wanted. So I had to just pitch up for a par. Actually pitched it up way shorter than I wanted. So I had to make like a 7-meter putt to save the par, but that was no problem. Now the tee shot on hole 3, I realized that if you had to make a mistake, you wanted to miss left. Because the trees are pretty far apart, so even though you miss your line, you can probably get through and give yourself a look, even though you don't hit the actual gap. Threw a pretty nice hyzer flip with the Falk, got it up to circle's edge, and I don't want to spoil anything, but let's keep track of how many putts are just a couple of inches of going in. That's number 1. Hole 4 is probably normally a forehand hole, but I feel more confident hitting the gap with my backhand, so I'm going with my really flippy K1 soft Stig, trying to get it to turn over and just get it up there for a putt at the basket. But I don't turn it over as much as I want to, so it goes straight for too long and I get stuck in a horrible position, and from here I don't even know how to get it up to the basket. I have basically no swing room for my arm, but I choose to just try to spin it through and give myself a putt. But unfortunately I get stuck on some things and leave myself a long tester for the par. And this, ladies and gentlemen, is number 2. Hole 5, pretty basic, but plays really far because it's so much uphill. But I hit the angle pretty perfect here, so I leave myself a short C2 putt for the birdie. And considering I've missed 2 in a row, I have to make this one, right? Do we count that as number 3? A little bit of nose down on this putt. But it's in. Hole 6 is a really tight 80 meter par 3, and the mean part about it is that if you miss the gap, you're probably gonna kick down into the OB ditch. Thankfully I didn't, and I got my first birdie. Back to even. Hole 7 is a really nice but really tricky par 4. Very specific landing zone, and I hit the angle pretty perfect, but it went like 1.5 meters too long. So I have a really pinched off position, but I tried to go for it anyways. And I believe I hit the angle perfectly, but I didn't give it height. Trying to throw it in with my Barry X, but it never had a chance. I probably shouldn't even admit that was a run. But yeah, we had to settle for the par. And I practiced hole 8 for so long, trying to figure out what to go for. And I decided to go for the jump putt, but I never even gave it the chance to get there. That was so weak, I don't even know what I did. So I didn't hit the island, and I'm putting for a par. And here, spoiler alert, number 4. Actually, number 5. I never counted hole 1. So we're currently 8 holes through and 5 putts missed by a couple of inches. But here I'll show you how to play hole 9 to perfection. Great tee shot with my buzz, landing in the perfect spot to go for a forehand approach using my stall. And also perfect shot, but the disc decided to go the other way and roll down the hill. So with 2 perfect shots, I'm at 18 meters trying to save the birdie. And spoiler alert again, this is not number 6. Here on hole 10 you need a really long tee shot to get it up on the hill and have a straight look at the basket. So I'm just giving it a lot of height and trying to get it up and left. But I threw it just a little bit too high, so I get tangled up in some branches. Still tried to go for it with a big flex shot from here, but running uphill, I've said it before, I'll say it again, not my strong suit. So I didn't give it the height I wanted, so just a layup from here and had to settle for a par. Hole 11 played as the second easiest hole on the course, averaging 2.45 in round 1. And the normal play is to go for a forehand on the left side, but I think it's risky coming down with a hyzer on this green, because it's sloping down towards OB long. So I'm just going with my Barry straight at it, but I failed to do the one thing I had to commit to, giving it height. Great tap in for the par though. Hole 12, tricky par 4, and becomes even trickier when you slip on the tee pad. Tried to go for the hero play from here, Falk backhand roller. Gave it a good angle but threw it a bit too far left, so I get stuck in a really thick pile of cut down branches. But they were still attached to the trees on the ground, so I couldn't move them, so I had to just become part of the branches and throw this amazing upshot. Great scramble for a tap-in par. Hole 13 played as the easiest hole round 1, but I pulled my tee shot and the only scary thing about this hole is the slope behind the basket. And I was really tempted to go for it, but Noah and Isaac convinced me to lay it up. And you can see on my reaction how much I like layups. Hole 14, slight 92 meter flex line, perfect for my Thunderbird, but I pull it a little bit to the right side, so I have to settle for a par here as well. Following that easy stretch of the course is the second hardest hole on the course. The danger on this hole is not hitting the gap on the tee shot, and that's what I did. Went for the hero shot again, tried to go for a forehand roller, but had very restricted movement, so I just put it deeper into the rough. So from here I just had to lay it up to the middle, now trying to save the bogey. Shout out to Noah for carrying the bag, by the way. Go and check out his Instagram. The future is bright with this kid, I'm telling you. Here I went with the Lutz on a forehand because I wanted a slight flip up. But I just threw it too wide, left myself like a 14 meter putt for the bogey. And came up short on that one as well. Such a bad double bogey. Hole 16, 112 meters downhill, plays probably more like 90 meters. Through my overstable Kaxasata, didn't really give it any though, so kinda went with the inside gap. Still left myself a short C2 putt for the birdie, and this time I committed. Unfortunately, a bit too much. And here you can see these 6 narrow misses are kinda getting to me. My plan on hole 17 was to go Barry backhand, but in practice I threw 2 Rieko forehands and they were both parked. So that's what I did today as well, but I gave it way too much height, so I went pretty long. And did I say the 6 narrow misses were kinda getting to me? How about 7? And hole 18 is the most difficult hole on the course. Usually a par 5 from this tee pad. Kind of a soft par 5, but a really difficult par 4. It takes 2 amazing shots to even be close to the basket. But I kind of pulled my tee shot, but made a really good second shot with the Stig on a forehand. Third shot with the Guld. Tried to give it Annie, but I kind of threw it nose up instead. So from here I have to make a really nice approach to try to save the bogey. Just listen to the crowd's reaction. So finishing +3 on the last 4 holes and ending the round at +3 as well. Not the start we were looking for.
Ooh. Noah, får du något eller? Snyggt.
Tell me a number.
14.
14.
Det kommer en båt.
Nu måste jag vänta på hans vågor. Annars vågar jag inte. Tell me a number.
14.
14. Divided by 7. Here I am warming up for round 2. Goals for today: correct the mistakes I made yesterday and make more putts.
Nästa tid representerar Järva Discgolfklubb, sponsrad av Kasta Plast och Rocket Disc, Kevin Klangebo.
Alright, so yesterday I threw it too low. Today I was giving it more height, but then I didn't turn it over enough. So I left myself a long C2 putt through the woods here. Felt really good out of my hand, but unfortunately I hit the branch. Nice 7-meter putt to start the day though. And I realized I was never gonna reach this hole with the air shot, so today I went for the roller instead. Unfortunately hit the tree, so I left myself a tester approach. And I don't know what happened, but I guess I threw the Barry X with way too much nose up. Really bad shot. And unfortunately getting a bogey on the second hole. So on the scorecard, an even worse start today, but there's a lot of holes left to play. Yesterday I didn't turn over my drive on hole 3, so today I was committed to hitting the gap, which I did, but even though I got around the corner, I hit some limbs and kicked backwards, so I didn't even make the corner. Had to go for a forehand flex from here. Unfortunately, I didn't give my Guld enough Annie though, so it kind of faded out and I had to scramble to save the par. And a horrible lie and a horrible shot from here, so I left myself a 21-meter putt for the par, but I just got a bogey, so I didn't want to get 2 in a row. Good catch by the basket. Didn't turn over my drive yesterday on this hole as well, so today I did, but I released the disc so early and straight away ultimately punished for my horrible shot. Took a while to even find the disc. Found a pretty open line up in the sky though. Problem was a lot of branches was hanging out in front of it, but I just threw my Lutz in hopes of getting through, but I just tickled the branch which killed the momentum and it kind of faded out, so I had to make another long putt to try to save the par. Perfect line, like half a meter short, so close. Yesterday I threw it a bit too low on hole 5, so today I wanted to give it more height and more power, which I did, but I gave it way too much height. So again, long putt, this time for the birdie though, and the entire flight I thought this was dead center. So currently at +2 through 5 holes, which is even worse than yesterday. And yesterday I birdied this hole, so let's do it again. Hit the line perfect, but gave it a bit too much height again, tickled the branch and just destroyed it. I was very lucky for this to be in bounds though, and a nice scramble shot for the par. Throwing a slightly slower disc today on hole 7, went with the bus instead of the Kaxesata. Gave it a little bit too much hyzer though, so I had to go for a forehand flex to try to get it up to the basket. Really nice line, but I think I got stuck on some branches on the left side, which left me with a really wide straddle putt from like 18 meters to try to save the birdie, which felt very unnatural. The miss on hole 8 yesterday was just pathetic. I never gave it a chance to get to the island, so today I gave it more power, but instead of swinging to the left, it just kept on going straight and kinda got pushed down, so I didn't make the island today either. Fortunately this time I didn't get a spit out though. And yesterday I played hole 9 to perfection, so this time I was just going to repeat it. My bus kind of flipped a little bit too much on the tee shot though, which left me in this really pinched off position. I could go with this inside forehand or with this really wide backhand anhyzer, which I felt was the safest play because then I couldn't hit any trees. And I don't even know what happened here, but my disc didn't want to go to the right. This Jan was brand new in the bag though, but something weird happened because it stopped gliding to the right and just came out straight away and hyzered out OB. You can see me laughing because this is probably one of the worst shots I've ever thrown in a tournament. And same mistake as hole 2 here, throwing my approach with the baddie, and I gave it this weird nose-up angle that I'm not used to. So kinda left myself a tester for the bogey here, which is a lot worse than the birdie I got yesterday. Thankfully I made it though. In round 1 I threw my tee shot on hole 10 way too high, so this time I was just committed to getting it on top of the hill, which I did pretty perfectly. Then I went with the stall on a steep force over anhyzer, and again executed pretty perfectly. Unfortunately hit the only bush in the way of the basket though, so left myself an undeserving C2 putt for the birdie, but this one felt good the entire way. Great bounce back birdie. Today I decided to go with the Reko X instead of the Barry on hole 11, which I guess was a good decision because I felt like this one was low as well, but it kind of trickled over and almost got into the bullseye for the birdie. I was so scared of slipping on hole 12 again, so I went with a much shorter run up today, but I couldn't really think about anything else than my footwork. So I hit the line perfectly, but I didn't give it height. But I made the gap and had a long shot to try to get the birdie. Kinda had a weird run up though, because it was uphill, and you know how I feel about running uphill. So threw it out into the rough on the left side again, but I had been here before, so I knew what to do. 2 great par saves on hole 12, 2 days in a row. Tried to not pull my stall like I did the run before, but then I didn't give it the height this time, so I left myself with a tester C2 putt with nothing but death behind the basket. But this time I couldn't lay it up. Back to even par on the round. In round 1 I pulled my Thunderbird to the right side, and unfortunately I did that today as well. But today I had a much worse result, so this time I actually had to work for my par. Pretty tricky putt because of the bush right in front of me, but still managed to save the par. And here the mic receiver died, so for these last couple of holes there's actually no sound, but you get to enjoy this amazing music instead. So yesterday we got a double bogey on this hole. Today I still wanted to try to get the birdie, but I would be happy with a par here. This is the second hardest hole on the course, so par is still good. But instead of early releasing the tee shot, I actually pulled it a little bit. Today I landed in a very open spot though, so pitching it up into position was no problem. And from here it was just a basic Jan approach shot. And I actually tried to throw this in, but it was a little bit short. And we managed to save the par, so goal achieved. My Kaxisata flew a lot more overstable than I thought it would in round 1, so I thought I just didn't give it enough power, so today I wanted to throw it a bit harder, but that wasn't the problem. I needed to give it any, so that's a mental note for round 3, and now I had to save par again. And I accidentally gave this upshot way too much power, so I went pretty deep and had to make a comebacker to try to save the par. And it's not pretty, but it's in the basket. Let's move on. In round 1 I threw hole 17 pretty perfect, but I just gave it too much height. So this time throw it the same, but throw it lower. But you can see me turning to my card mates, cause I was actually scared that I kicked into the OB. But I was safe, and don't judge this putt. I don't remember if someone sneezed or coughed, but they did it with perfect timing in my backswing. So I kind of twitched, and I almost missed the putt because of that. So -1 through 17, better than +2 yesterday, but we still had hole 18 left, the most difficult hole on the course. And yesterday I pulled my tee shot, so today I was just committed to throwing it down the fairway, and wherever I land I should be able to scramble for a par. But I hit some branches and had a really unfortunate lie in this bush, but I kind of trickled a forehand up on the hill at least, and landed in almost the exact same spot as round 1, but like 1.5 meters further to the right, which meant I couldn't go forehand, so I had to try to force a backhand into there, and it felt good out of my hand, but I hit some branches and just killed it. Still had a C2 putt for the par, and considering the low ceiling, I would say it was a pretty good run, but we had to settle for an unfortunate bogey and finished around at even par. 3 strokes better than yesterday, but still not even close to good. Shout out to my cardmate Arvid Hansson though, he got the one and only birdie so far in the tournament here on hole 18. Good job, buddy. After the round we realized there was another 18-hole course close by, so we had to check it out, and we went for some ace runs with cash on the line. Unfortunately no one got it, and Noah was basically the only one that was close. Both me and Isaac were struggling.
The following day.
They say that breakfast is the most important meal of the day, so I thought for the final round I had to give myself the best preparations possible to play the best round possible.
Yummy.
Representerar Järva Discgolf, sponsrad av Kasta Plast och Rocket Disc. Kevin Klangebo.
Alright, so with these two horrible first 2 rounds, I had only one goal with today's round, and it was that this was going to be my highest rated round on PDGA so far. My highest rated round before this, 1019, so we had to get 1020 plus. And in the rounds prior to this, that mark was at 6 or 7 down. Great bid from range on hole 1, but starting off with a par. Going for the roller today on hole 2 as well. This time it turned over way too fast, so I left myself with a tricky layup. Threw it pretty well considering the circumstances, but left myself a 7-meter tester putt for the par. I think this was my first actually missed putt inside the circle the entire tournament. I had one in round 1 as well, but I would say that was a spit out. Hole 3, throwing the same disc again, trying to get through to an actually good position this time. And I kinda got sneaky on the left side, but I did get into position. And from here I threw a really nice shot with my Lutz. So after that short missed putt on hole 2, I bounced back with a tap-in birdie. First 2 rounds I got bogey on this hole, so today I'm just looking for redemption. This should be the easiest hole until hole 6. But I left myself a tester from C2, but making this would feel like moving in the right direction. -1 through 4. I never really got the distance on this hole, so today I was just giving it full power, so I pulled it a bit. And from here I was actually trying to make it, but apparently I had this weird right to left pushing wind that just pushed my disc towards the left side the entire way and left me with a 9-meter tester for the par. And I feel like it's like 70% for this to stick, but it chose to spit out. So back to even par. But what do we do after bogeys? We bounce back. Played this to perfection. And I decided to disc down even more today on hole 7, because even though I disced down to the bus, still went too far. So today I went with Göte, but turned it over just a little bit too much. If this was 1 meter left, it's perfect. So I had to go with a backhand flex with my Halo Destroyer, and just a tiny bit more Annie, and this was perfect as well. But I hit the tree, and just like in round 1, I tried to throw this in with my Barry X, but I did the same thing again. Not even close. So I feel like I saved the par pretty well every single round on this hole. But in the first 2 rounds I had not played hole 8 well at all. So today I had to do something different, and I went with the backhand. And it almost went in. And even though this is like 2 meters from the basket, I was the furthest away on my card. We were all parked. trying to replicate round 1's tee shot here on hole 9, and in round 2 I flipped it up a bit too much, so this time I gave it a little bit more hyzer, and it was perfect. And from here, because of round 1, when I parked it but it still rolled down to 18 meters, I told myself to just skip it right of the basket. The further right it is, the flatter the ground, so just skip it far right and make the putt. And that's what I did. Another birdie and -3 on the front 9. Let's keep it going. I wanted to go even further today on hole 10, but this time I didn't give it any height. I just threw it straight into the ground. Nice shot from here though. Got it perfectly in the gap. And then an approach with the Barry X, which fought out of my anhyzer pretty quick, so it kind of scared me for a second. But I got the par. The only goal I had here was to give it more height, which I did, but I didn't throw it out towards the right side then. So landed just outside the circle on the left side and had a right to left crosswind, so I thought let's aim low right and let the wind push it left and up. And I did it perfectly. The wind pushed it left, but it didn't push it up. So I hit the cage and had to tap in for a par. I thought I made it though. Short run up on hole 12 again. This time tried to give it more height, but I accidentally threw it with Annie, so it drifted left and hit the tree. And from here I had to scramble like crazy. Saving the par from here would be a miracle. First scramble shot, really good. Still landed in jail and I had to go for a thumber, and I never throw thumbers. But made it into C2 and had a look for the par, and a look is all I need. So now in 3 rounds, 3 amazing par saves on this hole. And I actually switched from stall to Thunderbird here on hole 13, and the Thunderbird is not as overstable, so it skipped further and left myself with a shorter putt. So now we're getting somewhere. -4 through 13, and the goal, like I said, is -6 or 7, and I felt like hole 17 was gonna be a gimme at the moment. So if I could just get 1 more birdie and then par out the others, I would get that -6 that I was looking for. So let's try to get the birdie right here on hole 14. Never mind, I do the same mistake 3 times in a row. Why do I pull it on this hole? I don't understand it. In practice it was so easy. Horrible lie from here, trying to get it up and down, but I had some branches in my swing, so the disc comes out really weird and it rolls to the other side of the forest, and this is just a bogey, and we're back to -3 again. Now we need to step up. And what better hole to get redemption on than hole 15, the one that I still hadn't hit the gap on, and the one that I got a double bogey on in round 1. A bit high, but made the gap perfectly. But because of the height, it kind of faded out towards the left side. Still open from here, but I really need to commit to the line. And that is exactly what I did not do. I early release it, throw it towards the right side, hit the tree, and now I have to make this really long one if I want the birdie. And I don't even give it the Annie to have a chance to go in. Which actually left me like 9 meters from the basket to try to save the par. So from a pretty easy birdie to having to work for a par. Still made it, but now we basically have to birdie out if we want the -6. And birdieing out means getting our first birdie on hole 16 and getting the second birdie in the entire tournament on hole 18. But if that's what's needed, we at least have to give it a chance. Let's take 1 shot at a time though, and begin with the tee shot on hole 16. Previous rounds threw it inside, and in round 2 I gave myself the mental note to give it Annie, so that's what I did. And that was what was needed. We got the birdie on hole 16. 1 out of 3 holes done. Next up is hole 17, and like I said, this one should be a gimme. This type of shot should be really easy for me at the moment. And when I let this go, I knew it was perfect, straight out of my hand, and I freaking parked it. But this left us with no choice. We had to birdie hole 18. And so far in the 3rd round, still no one had got the birdie. So Arvid Hansson is the only person through 3 rounds to get the birdie on hole 18. We had to become the second to reach our goal of -6 and our highest rated round ever. So this tee shot is really difficult and really important. So I switched from my white guld to my first round guld, because that way I can get it to flip up later and get more distance. And I threw it pretty much exactly like I wanted. So I made it all the way down the hill and even up on the hill on the other side. But I had a really awkward stance where I had to go for a standstill forehand with a tree basically in my swing plane. But I still managed to do this. And you can't see much, but I hit the line perfect. From this lie, I probably couldn't get the disc closer to the basket if I got 100 tries. So I got left with a 22-meter putt to try to get the second birdie in the entire tournament on hole 18 and to get the -6 that we were looking for to get our highest rated round ever. So I gave this every little ounce of will in my entire body.
Ge den till honom bara. Bra spelat på Kevin. Det är fan nära.
I was so sad.
Bra runda Kevin. What could have been, what could have been.
But in the end, it didn't even matter, because when the ratings were official, -6 was 1017, so it wasn't even enough. I would have needed -7, that would have been 1025. But -5 and 1008 rated is still good, but I felt like I left so much on the course that with a bit of cleanup, it could have been an amazing round. And in the new ratings update after this tournament, we went from 959 to 971. So we're heading in the right direction, and soon enough we'll be 1000 rated. It's just a matter of time. And when you're seeing this video, this tournament right here is gonna be over. But that's what I'm looking forward to when I'm editing this right now, because that will be the last big tournament of the season for me, and I'm looking to go out with a bang. And it doesn't hurt that it's on probably my favorite course in Sweden, Ymergården. But that will be the next video on the channel, so look forward to that. But that's been it for this time, so thank you guys so much for watching. Remember to like, subscribe and comment down below what you want to see next. Don't forget the bell as always, and I'll see you guys in the next one. Peace.